I'm going to be showcasing the fastest ways to gain XP in Minecraft Skyblock. There are multiple methods on how to gain XP, but there's obviously a clear winner over the rest of them, which I'll be showing later in the video. With all of that out of the way, let's get right into this. Some of the ways to obtain XP actually have extra requirements that essentially make it more difficult to get to the point that you want to be at, which will make you a lot of XP. So we're going to be going over all of those for each individual tool, because there's the pickaxe, the sword, and the hoe. Oh yeah, and I forgot to preference, make sure you're doing quests to get the tools that I am using: the adventurer's sword, miner's sturdy pickaxe, and slaying the crops away. These are all unbreakable and come with enchants already on them if you do quests. Make sure you only do these quests right here, because it's the easiest to get done compared to the other two, and they'll rotate out every time. But yes, we're gonna go over the hoe first. Basically, we have two different setups you could work with. You could use a flat layer of farms, or you could use this staggered pattern that we have built yesterday, which I'll show off as well. But essentially, with this hoe, you need crop drill and this level 1 enchant, which essentially makes it so you don't break non-fully grown crops, which is insanely useful. And then green thumb essentially just replants everything. So if I were to go ahead and break this, it replants all of that in, I believe, 32 blocks, if I'm not mistaken, which is really good. And also, I can't break the crop, which is good because of that enchant. And the crop drill is what does it in that direction you're facing. So the downside with the hoe, there's all these enchants, but there's none that actually gives you more XP. And that is a big problem for the hoe. So if we take a look in chat, we harvested all those crops and got 0 XP. We're gonna go ahead and harvest along the edge here, and then we're gonna see how much XP we got in total. So if we take a look now, we only got 270 from farming all of that. So imagine this, which is pretty much almost the same. It's probably not that great. And we're gonna be withdrawing our XP every time we test a certain method. But if you had a full chunk area that I had previously, this would probably get you around 1000 XP almost on each layer, on a rough estimate, of course. But this design here is actually very cool. Essentially, you use stairs, you angle your mouse to break crops on 2 different layers on a staggered pattern, and then you just go across and break the crops. You don't press spacebar until you reach the very end and move on to the next layer. And the thing is, you want to hold your movement keys forward and either A or D key, so you're not actually missing out on any of the crops and moving far away from the build so you can't break them. But as you can see, you just fly up and it's pretty simple. And this is the whole setup that we have. You could definitely expand upon this. We built 10 layers and it wasn't enough, so it's probably like a few more layers, maybe 5 more at my best guess. But essentially, we just go ahead, go all the way up here, and we'll see how much XP we've made overall in the chat once we are done. And if you are enjoying the video so far, make sure to leave a like. I'd appreciate it a lot. Helps get the video out in the YouTube algorithm. And this is probably our better method of getting XP from farming. It just depends on how many layers you have. So I am gonna count how many we have in total to make sure we know how many layers it is to get how much XP. So if we look in chat, we got 6,200 XP from that, which isn't the worst, but you definitely could get more. And of course, if we take a look at global boosters, there is an XP booster active, so we're trying to take advantage of what's currently active in that same time span, so we can get a good amount of realization on which one is the best method. So it's about 22 layers exactly on how many layers there are in this farm, and that's how much XP we actually got from 22 layers. So overall, we only got 6,000 XP from that, which is not the worst, not the best. Now we're gonna move on to the next kind of method, which essentially is killing mobs. Of course, you want to have the highest tier, so we're using the highest tier of mob, and there are some extra details I do have to explain. If you go ahead and do /is mastery and go into the mob section, essentially when you're working your way up to the highest tier, you don't want to spend your mastery points that you obtain when you unlock a tier in each mastery. So I have 2 tiers in, let's say, llama. You want to keep the points you have acquired and spend them into either zoglins or wither skeletons, depending on if you're AFKing or manual grinding. So for the Zoglin point shop, we actually have a XP boost, a 0.5, so it does give an advantage. And that's the good thing about these, which yes, you could say the same for Netherwart. You can actually get XP up as well, but it costs more points and more time to get those points. Even though the multiplier is insanely higher on our Netherwart, you still technically can get more XP, but it's still not good compared to slaying mobs. And we'll get a rough estimate on how much we make with a 0.5 0.5 multiplier with the current XP booster active, and of course with some custom enchants. We have double edge 250, the max level, which essentially when we kill a mob, it kills 2. I don't know if it's 100%. Let's actually check. So at 250, we are guaranteed to kill 2 mobs at once. And then with Fury, we're able to do as much damage as we need. It's 1% per level, so we have 25% more damage. You need it to kill wardens when you're at that tier. When you're on Zoglins, it doesn't really matter. But then the main enchant we're looking at is Inquisitive, which gives us more XP. The hoe didn't have that, but the sword does. So since we have it, it actually is better for us to do slaying over farming. That's why we went over farming first, because farming is actually the worst method. But it is a method to go for, depending on if you want to grind out your mastery. But I'm gonna do a withdraw of all my XP so we don't actually do anything wrong here and get the right amount. What I'm gonna do is make my attack keybind space, so my jump key, and once we hit 30 seconds on the clock, we are gonna go ahead and grind for 30 seconds and see how much XP we get. Alright, so we're starting our grinding session. We have about 20 seconds left, and then we'll see how much XP we have gained compared to farming that whole thing. And so far, it's looking very bad for farming. Alright, our time is done. We have done 30 seconds. If we take a look in chat, we have made almost 2,000 XP. Just to clarify, that method with the spacebar is allowed. You just cannot AFK it. That is a bannable offense if you get caught, so just don't do it. But as you can see, we got 2,000 XP roughly in 30 seconds compared to how long that took, which probably took at least a minute or two to farm all of that. And it's more tedious when you can just hold down a button here, but you do have to get all the other extra enchants to make it worthwhile. So of course you need double edge, you need inquisitive, fury, depending on if you're on wardens or not. It's more investment, but it definitely pays off more than the farming when you have to build a giant farm like this. So overall, the sword is better than farming. So we're gonna move on to the pickaxe, which has some enchants as well, and also a spare pet that we have to use. So this pet gives us haste 3 if you want haste 3, of course. You don't have to get it to the godly tier. I believe you can get it to the royal or the legendary tier. You just need the haste 3 buff when it says it on the pet, but you need a cave spider. Essentially, it'll give you a permanent haste 3, which helps a ton when mining, and you need a long farm, so you gotta build one of these, compared to the farming here, which you have to build even bigger, which is not great. But we'll go over the enchants really quickly. So you're guaranteed to come with, I believe, on the questing pickaxe, max efficiency, which is good. You could just get the enchant for haste on the pickaxe if you don't have the pet, even though it comes with extra bonuses. And then of course, there's an enchant like the sword that gives you more XP. It's called prospecting instead of inquisitive, so that is very good to have this enchant. You max it out, and we're gonna do an XP withdraw all, put our XP away, and we're gonna test this out. We're gonna put on the pet, of course, go into /pets, and we're gonna turn on the godly pet here. We do need to keep into account that island mastery is a thing for mining as well, and the ores. So what we have done is not really upgraded our island level upgrades. If we go into island upgrades, you can upgrade your ore tier for the ores that are spawned in a generator like we have here. Essentially, we only have 1 level in this. I recommend just not even leveling it at all. That was a mistake we made on our part, but either way, it's not super high on its level, so that's fine. Just keep it at level 1 if you're going to be mining. So then at that point, you can go into island mastery and invest all the points you get into cobblestone, into the XP, I believe, bonus. So as you can see, 5 levels gets you 0.5, so it's 0.1 every time you get a level. We have all of these upgraded to an insane amount, as the coal is also on a 0.4, lapis is on 0.4, iron is on 0.4, and copper is on 0.2, which does technically go up on its own by 0.2. So we're gonna go ahead and actually upgrade it to 0.4 because we have enough points and we might as well do that. Realistically, you invest the points in the ores that spawn in the most, which are mainly these 5 ores here. Gold and above is not really worth it if you're not upgrading your generator. I just don't think it's worth it if you're mainly trying to get XP or shards, which shards are a whole different story. But either way, we're gonna go ahead, just double check our XP. We have 0. Let's go ahead and go into our options, controls, and if you're on over, I believe 1.21.11 for your Minecraft version, you can actually turn on the attack and destroy toggle for left click, and just make sure, of course, you're not AFKing it. That is bannable. But you can go ahead and press left click once and it starts mining until you open your your inventory or a GUI. Anyways, we're gonna wait 10 seconds and then we're gonna start and do 30 seconds. All right, 30 seconds has begun. Here we go. I just gotta make sure when I hit the end of the mine that I go back the other way. That is the only downside of this. All right, we go back. It took about 15 seconds to get to the other side. 3, 2, 1. And we're done. Okay, let's turn it off. And as you can see, our winner, of course, is mining, which seems very strange, but it's the easiest to set up. As you can see on the scoreboard and in the chat, we have 5,000 XP almost, a little bit under, but that is significantly more for the amount of time you spend into mining on its own and how easy it is compared to farming. And then, of course, you could still compare slaying mobs to the mining method. They're kind of equal in my eyes, depending on which one you want for laziness. If you want more XP and to be a little bit more active, mining is the way to go. But if you just want to hold down your spacebar and watch a movie or something and look at your screen occasionally, the better method, of course, would then be killing mobs. And that is, of course, with the same XP multiplier besides the masteries and stuff, because that you have to progress over time. So if you invest your mastery points properly into mining, it is definitely the best method possible, and if you stay on the lowest island upgrade level for the ore generator. That is how you gain a ton of XP in Minecraft Skyblock. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. I do appreciate all the support, and I will see you all in the next one.